Good day, dear dental students. Good day, dear colleagues. My name is Apokin Alexander. I am a general dentist and I welcome you on our training course about dental composites. At this course, I show you some basic principles to working with different type of composites, flowable composites. As a basic material, I use material of company President Dental. Let's start. We record all our cases for several cameras and with very good dynamic range and with the hardware synchronization. Let's look at this closer. At the center we have a macro camera like an optical microscope with the high dynamic range. At the left we have face camera, which we can see our hand instruments, hand pieces, materials, rubber dam, and our top camera. Today we treat, let's look at our case summary again. We treat medium caries on the tooth 21, 22, 23. We apply rubber dam isolation with the Anchor clamp W2 on tooth 24. You can use additional information in our Rubberdamology course in the chapter Rubber Dam 401 using Nicton rubber dam plates, and all clamps we use from the company Torvium. We're working at the tooth cervical area using bonding system pre-bond, which is the generation 5 bonding system. As the composite, we're using dynamic plus shading A3.5. This is the part of general dental therapy grant course. Let's back to our video. After applying rubber dam and applying floss fixation of a rubber dam plate around tooth 21, I applying caries marker. We finish our preparation and I wash this rubber caries marker with the water. I think this is good. And we start to sandblasting. It's a very important part of my clinical work. Every case, every patient, every tooth, we receive this sandblasting with the aluminum oxide, 29 microns. All cavities which I preparate with the handpiece and turbine, I cover with the aluminum oxide. Of course, we wash all this powder from the surface of tooth cavities and rubber dam. Rubber dam perforations additionally fixed around tooth with the Brinker retractors. Then we wash all staining of caries indicator with the ethanol before applying etching gel. All materials in this series of clinical cases from President Dental, and this year I tried these materials and I find this very good in quality. Additional washing with the water. And now we're ready to applying etching gel. %37% of acid. After applying this gel to all preparated surfaces, and immediately we can see that all these surfaces will very quickly covered with some bubbles inside this etching agent. I'm activate this etching gel with the microbrush to receiving additional etching effect on the hard tissues of this tooth. Remove all this gel with this our suction and immediately flush with the water. Flushing very quickly, and then drying with the ear. And now we can look the changing of surface of enamel and dentine and this tooth. This surface is ready to applying bonding system. President Dental Company introduced to our work a bonding agent called pre-bond. This is the bond of the 5th generation. Is the single component bonding system. I like this bottle because it have very handy tip which translucent, and I can watch the movement of bond inside this tip and slow my pressure to this bottle when I find that I have enough bond on microbrush. I cover all surfaces in all cavities, all tooths that I working with the bonding agent. Move all bonding to all sides with the ear, and start with the light curing. I using curing lamp from the 80s, which have 218 microwatts on the square centimeter. After curing is finished, I'm applying bulk fill called Stark to the deep cavities on tooth 21. It's very good flowable composite, which is very opaque and have white color. In this case, I'm using bulk fill called Stark, which have a very opaque color, full white color, but after curing, it changed color to natural, not white, but natural enamel color. Maybe it's like this. I put very small volumes of this bulk fill to the lateral sides of tooth 21 and 22 after curing with the help of my assistant. I start to clean my gloves, of course after sandblasting, it's very important. And then we start to work with the composites. My assistant put some drop of modeling resin on my left glove. Using called Dynamic Plus, called shading A3. Enough portion of composite to close the cavity at the lateral side of tooth 21. We applying it with the hand instrument with the elastic functional tip. It's not very strong instrument. It's it bend small under my pressure of hand, and it have very thin tip. It's very handy to work with the composite of this series of instruments. The first company which invent this will LM instrument, and this series of instrument called. Continue to work with the next tooth in this group, frontal group. We're working with the tooth number 23. Applying different shading A3.5. It's more darker and it's best for canines in most cases because the canines is that darker than the other tools for typically one shading at the vita. Applying new layers of material to have a nice anatomical curvature of the vestibular side of tooth 23 from the distal side and the mesial side of this tooth. We are moving to the contact point with the lateral incisor from the left side. During our next part of this clinical work, we're using additional accessories for working with the contact points. I see how beautiful we work I see how interesting we record these clinical videos, and we can see both in frontal camera and macro camera our work with the tip of instrument and all instrument holding in hand. We close the tip of the canine from the left side, also cavity from a fraction, curing, and then we're ready to make contact point between canine and lateral incisor. Sometimes we applying curing twice to have more predictable curing from different parts of composite. Applying probe like a wedge between these tooth, and then with the matrix like a scalpel inserted between canine and lateral incisor. This is anterior strips from company Torvium. We have very nice isolation one tooth from another, and now we can apply the composite to the mesial side of tooth 23, and of course then curing this new layer of composite without any problems, like you see before when tooth polymerized and have no interdental space. Okay. Every time you're using interdental matrix or anterior strips, no matter, or other matrices like Unica, or every time cure your composite once more after you remove this matrix, because matrix have any spaces with shadows, and some layers of composite did not receive any enough energy of light. Applying final layer to our canine, our instrument have a layer of modeling resin. Again, place probe between tooth like a wedge, and again fix anterior strips and now we're working with the lateral incisor. We made the contact points of adjustment tooth, and now we're ready and applying the same accessory from the mesial surface of tooth 22. Even I see and I have a very good contact between tooth. I always try to insert interdental wedge if it's possible. If you cannot put this accessory to the interdental space for holding the end of these anterior strips, but I hold it and press to the root surface with the probe. For a short time it's not a problem for me, and my assistant helped me with curing lamp. But if you plan to hold this matrix for a long time, it's better to use wood interdental wedge from this Complect, or maybe from other manufacturer, but it's more stable for a long time. Not only working with hands, but try to use traditional part of matrix systems. We replace our interdental strips from working position like a previous stage to the protective position. I avoid to connecting tools at the contact point, and I need more space for movements with my hand instruments, applica instrument, and I like to separate tools from one from another with the anterior strips, and then with the scalpel remove some corners or sharp edges of direct composite restoration. And you see that I have no problem to touch adjustment tools to form my contact point with the scalpel number 11, but not, excuse me, not 11, 12. We continue to work with the next contact point from the mesial side of tooth 22. Removing unnecessary part of composite, replacing these anterior strips, and pressing this composite part with the applica. Very nice shape after we're removing this strip. And now we make part of restoration at the vestibular side of tooth 22, from middle of the crown to the cervical part of crown. Don't forget to put some very small volume of modeling resin to your modeling instrument. Very nice shape, and of course very good color. We're removing unnecessary additional clamps and gingival retractors, or replacing them to new proper position to have additional space in the vestibular cervical area of tooth 22. Also making a more biological shape of lateral side of tooth 22 with very small volume of composite, and making solid surface at vestibular side. Also with the scalpel, removing unnecessary part of composite, removing sharp edges, because from the vestibular side the crown of the incisor cannot have sharp edges. This is not a good shape for crown. Removing a floss ligature with scalpel, carefully removing knot from this ligature and removing this part. Then if you have a mistake that in place you are cut this ligature, removing other parts with our peelers. Additional polymerization of composite, removing gingival retractors and checking interdental space with the floss. And of course we need polishing stripes to work with this surface in the contact points of frontal tooth. Some part of this ligature will be bonded to the crown, and to successfully remove this part of interdental floss we just cut with the scalpel and then remove with the other simple floss. Very nice. I repeat this short case intro. We work at the frontal tooth of the upper jaw from the left side, working with 3 tooths, making more than 4 cavities, using pre-bond, 5th generation bond. Also very important to make proper rubber dam isolation, and of course applying sandblasting after preparation the hard tissues with your handpiece. And now we have very short outcome ideas about this case. If you have frontal carious lesions of the hard tissues of your patient, decide very important aspect. In this visit, you made only contact points or also made vestibular surface, because in some cases making contact points in the frontal area it's not very easy, and it asks you to pay additional attention to many aspects and spend a lot of time to replacing matrices, wedges, floss ligatures. And if you have enough time, also add gingival retractors from Brinker to have a good position of rubber dam perforations around tooth and the cervical area, to finishing to work with the vestibular sites in the cervical area of selected tooth. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, write it in the comments below. Thank you very much.